Hi everyone! Welcome back to Window Chats with Robyn, the Instagram Live podcast where I sit by my window and chat with very interesting people. Today it's not my window, it is my mother-in-law's. We have not had air conditioning since Monday. So thank you to my mother-in-law for providing this space. There is still a window, being very true to my chat. And today's guest, we have two people, very exciting. We have Twayne and Zeik. I want to think of a couple name for them. I haven't decided yet. I know they're not a couple, but they just always work together and they're very cute. And we work together on movie night. Shout out to the awesome people, cast and crew. They were great. And I'm gonna invite them in, and hopefully, if you have seen my two people Instagram lives before, it's always interesting, but I'm hoping it works first time, not a problem. And I'm gonna invite them in and it's gonna be epic. Or I'll have to redo it multiple times and it'll be okay. Zeik. And let's see if this works with... Okay.
Hi.
Okay, hi. Okay, we got one. Hey.
Okay, we got
How's
me.
it going? Oh my god, it worked. Okay. Freeze. Hi.
How's it going?
Hello.
Oh my god.
Oh, I've been wearing my headset all day, so this is the extent.
Did you come off the set of Minions? Like,
Perhaps. Oh my gosh, I work in my little cave. Actually, the internet at work today was not working, so I came home halfway through my day to work from home, and of course, this is the result of wearing my headset all day.
I like it. It's nice.
I agree. I think it's a fashion statement.
I should have
You're
looked
gonna
in the
start
mirror before I
something,
sat
right?
down. How are you guys?
But now we all get to see this. This is great. This is why we do the lives. Just to have moments
sure.
like these. Of course.
No problem.
Guys, thanks for coming. This is so exciting. Okay. Thanks for being a part of this.
Ooh, I see.
Thanks
Alex
for having
is
us.
here.
Oh, Alex, hi.
How's it
Hey.
going?
Alex was a director on movie night. She was okay, whatever. No, she was okay. So, you guys are fascinating, and that's why you are on this podcast of mine, because not only do you do camera stuff, but you guys do a bunch of other things. And I don't know if you know this, but Zeik's an engineer, so that's exciting. But
I
Twayne,
lost my ring, so I can't really do that. But
How did you lose it? Okay, the one time you were at my place, it was in my compost bin, and I found it before I was taking out the compost. I'm like, dude, like, you forget something? He's like, oh, that's where it is. And I was like,
yeah,
so it's not the
deep down
first time that Zeik's lost
yeah, deep down inside, I was like, my precious. And yeah.
I mean, my husband literally just joined the live, and he always loses his engineering ring. But it's $25 to replace it, but it's still, it's the one piece of jewelry he always wears. I get it.
Yeah.
There's a value there.
For sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like every engineer, when you see a fellow engineer, you go, hey, show me your ring. It's
Yeah.
a thing, right? And go, hey,
Yeah.
you don't even have to, it's an unspoken bond.
I
It's
didn't
the pinky,
realize
right?
it, but
I think.
yeah, it's the pinky ring. So there was one time I was getting groceries, and this like woman approached me, and she was like, hey, like, you an engineer? And I'm like, how do you know? Like, what do you... And she's like, your ring. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And it like dawned on me that it's something that people do actually recognize. So kind of freaked me out a little bit, but I was like, okay, all right, cool. Like, there's like a secret society almost.
Seems like
It feels very
Kind of.
exclusive, and we're offended right now. So thank you
Yeah.
for that. We're an inclusive society now. It's 2022. Okay, Mr. Engineer.
Right, for sure.
But Zeik, you also cook, which is why not? You're like a chef. Subtle. Yeah. By the way, I cook, but also fancy dishes, which is why there's you know what I mean? Like, you make an effort for food, and it confuses me as someone who is not a chef, because I'm like, I don't know, it's all going to the same place, but it looks really good. Yeah.
You and Twayne would both agree on that. Twayne says food is fuel, and we've argued many times about that.
Yeah.
I disagree, but yeah, no, I love to cook. I think it's one of the few things creatively that I'm able to do that I haven't quite turned into like a business per se, so I can still like enjoy the purity of cooking. Did I say yet? I said
Yeah.
No, I say yet. I feel like yes, it's going to happen.
But yeah, I did it. I I picked up cooking. Well, like my mom loves to cook, and I love to eat when I was a kid, so that kind of made sense. But it actually stems from the movie Chef with Jon Favreau, and that kind of just threw me in the fascination of cooking, and I don't know, I fell in love with it from that point onwards. So yeah.
I love that because people normally say ratatouille, and you go, no, 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 Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
It's a cultured choice. Yeah.
Ratatouille's still good though. Still good.
It is. I mean, it's a cartoon rat, and I prefer a human makes my food, but that's just me personally. You know, nothing against animals. Just I prefer a human chef. It's a choice.
Fair.
Yeah.
Very fair. Yeah, for sure.
Thank Kevin for his cooking tips. Okay, well.
Oh, hold on. So, yeah,
Oh,
Kevin was a fellow engineer. We went to school together, and yeah, he gave me a lot of cooking tips. I was surrounded by friends who love to cook as well. So, yeah, it's good.
That's why Twayne keeps you around, right? So you can just cook him food. I
Among
see that.
other reasons.
Okay. I guess. I mean, look, I've cooked for Zeke the odd time. I mean, I go to his place, he comes here. We have a good time. So, and food's always involved, and we don't complain. So, I mean, I guess we're doing it all right. So, yeah.
No one's had to run to the bathroom yet. So
Yeah.
That's good. There's a lot of yets, though. You know, some milestones will be hit. I see it.
Mm-hmm.
You get more adventurous. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Twayne,
Sure.
I'm still taking in the hair right now.
I know.
It's honestly my favorite hairstyle on any live.
I cannot believe I didn't even bother to look in the mirror before I sat down. I'm not gonna lie. I came off like a work meeting, and I'm like, oh yes, I've got like 5 minutes. Let me just grab a drink of water, sit down, set up my phone, make sure it's charged and working, and I didn't even look in the mirror. So
You know what?
I mean,
But it doesn't matter. You know what?
Yeah.
You're sporting a new look today, right? It doesn't
For
matter.
sure.
You're just
For sure.
this is living in your truth of today. That's very millennial. I like it. I'm just saying words, guys. You're going with it. It's cool.
Yeah.
But actually, how did you two meet? Like, how did you guys find each other? Because I find your partnership adorable. I really do. The way you guys were bouncing off each other on the set, it was so cute. A little married couple, but you guys aren't married. Or
Yeah.
like, even, you know, I feel like you guys are in your own kind of relationships, which is fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
My fiance would probably say we are married. So, yeah.
Twayne, do you want to tell our story?
I guess it was funny because I was talking to Rachel today, who was on the set of movie night as well, the makeup artist Rachel, because there were two Rachels on movie night.
The actor and of course.
Yeah. I had sent her, it was an IG story of one of our mutual friends, Tasha, who I guess she still is a model, but she used to model, the mid 2010s, 2015, 2016. And I was telling her, like, Zeke and I were, I guess, she was one of our first people that we had shot. So that was kind of interesting because I was like, that's how we all connected. Like me, Zeke, and a few other photographers in sort of our circle was because we shot this one person. And now she's doing her own projects, and she was looking for a makeup artist. So that's why I was talking to Rachel about it. I would say, like, from there, like, that's kind of like the origin of sort of the friendship within our sort of circle of all of us, really. And from there, we actually worked Boots and Hearts together. So it was basically all these photographers that shot this one person were all working at Boots and Hearts together. And I had not met Zeke up until we were at Boots and Hearts.
What is Boots and Hearts? It sounds like a cool place. Okay.
I
was going to nod and pretend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Boots and Hearts is a country music festival that goes on in Oro Medonte, which is about 20 minutes north of Barrie. And so they do Way Home there as well in this sort of open area. I forget what the place is called, but
Burles Creek.
Yes, Burles Creek. Thank you, Zeke. And so we were contracted for 4 days to shoot video. Well, photography and video. Our photographer friends were doing photography stuff, and Zeke, myself, and another person were doing video. So I don't know, did we bond during that weekend? I guess we did. Like, we just kind of all vibed off each other, and we all, like, knew each other mutually. So we knew everyone in sort of the media group that we were part of was cool. So it was from there, and then we just started hanging out after the fact. Like, it's like, oh, like I'm downtown because I work downtown. Zeke lived downtown. Like, want to hang out? And then we did a few projects together as well, where either I was shooting video, or I was assisting Zeke, or Zeke was shooting video, I was assisting somebody else. Like, it was just I guess a combination of us just being together creatively in different places, and then also just continuing our friendship outside of that, talking about our creative process, photography, video, whatever it may be. So that's kind of how we kind of got together, and we haven't left each other since. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Masters of their craft, according to J.Y. Pierce.
oh,
like
that's
that.
that's my cousin. That's like,
Uh,
look at that.
that's very kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, so
no,
you don't, how do you decide who's in charge? Because you're saying you know, I'm just curious, right? Like, I'm in charge today. How does that work?
I'm the captain.
You know how many times I wanted to send that meme in pre-production of movie night? I was like, because we've worked two projects. We've worked two sort of relatively, I guess, larger sets than we're used to on a sort of, I guess, month-to-month basis, where, you know, a lot of people involved. In the first, I guess, large set that Zeke and I were on was a movie called Last Supper that we're waiting to hear back from festivals. So hopefully that goes somewhere. And we shot that pretty much a year ago. And so Zeke was the director there. I was the DP. And so he was the boss. He was in charge.
How was he? He's not going to hear, but how
it was his first time, but he did a great job. I will say, for his first time directing a 6-person cast in a short film is a challenge in of itself. And to do it in your first time, I think he did great. You know, we recently screened that with cast and crew, and everyone laughed. You know, when you see it so often, you kind of get numb to everything, the jokes and the one-liners. But everyone was laughing, and we're like, "Huh, okay, we did a good job." And you know, it was kind of relieving to hear that. No sense, but yeah. So Zeke was the I guess the captain in that one. This time around for movie night, the set that the three of us were on about, I guess, 3 or 4 weeks ago, about a month ago now. I was the boss, I guess, in terms of, you know, cinematography and things like that. And but Zeke, I will say though, Zeke on that set came up with a solution to a problem that we were having with lighting the hallway scene. So he did offer a creative solution, and we went back and forth. I was like, dude, this is not going to work. This isn't happening. I need to see an eye light. I need to see this. And I was like, okay, I'm trusting you. If it doesn't work, we're going with my idea. So it worked.
I know there was some issues with deciding, because we had to keep moving things. And it was so fun. The first time I go, I'm gonna just help out behind the scenes, see what happens. My God, I was exhausted the next day. I don't know how you guys do what you do. It was you guys should create a workout program based on that. I'm telling you, just get people to carry sandbags, just move the C whatever, the C sticky thing.
The
What's
C-stands.
it called?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say being on a film set is very laborious for sure. You know, it does take a toll on your body, but it's all fun because, you know, at the end of the day, you come together as a team, a cast, a crew, and hopefully you make something that everyone's sort of proud of and can share with their friends, family, and just proud of the art that you want to create, you know, and you got to be part of sharing in that vision. So I guess Zeke and I go back and forth. Usually I like to be behind the camera, sort of Zeke, and if you give me a scene and you're like, just make this look good, that's where I thrive. Zeke is more so, I have this idea, and this is how we make it happen, kind of deal. So
yeah.
Do you agree, Zeke? Because Twayne is speaking for you, and I just want you to feel heard.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Our friendship is really just us arguing about shit all the time. And it's good. I mean, the thing is like that it kind of keeps things spicy, you know. We always talk about, like, we'll send each other screen stills of like a film or a TV show. We'll point out certain things, like things that I prefer, or he'll point out things that he prefers. And we kind of, like, from there, like, over, you know, months or whatever, when we finally do end up on a project, we kind of take what we've learned from each other and just apply it to our project, or we'll learn something from that project and then take it to some of the creative stuff that we do off to the side. So it's a very symbiotic relationship between us two, and a lot of people will say we're almost inseparable. Like I think there was a time early this year where I pretty much saw Twayne every week
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of like back and forth, a lot of ideas being exchanged, a lot of like advice being given on both sides. So yeah.
I think what was so great is watching you guys, you were open to feedback, right? It's not this diva complex, this attitude of I know everything or my decision stays. And I really thought that brought such a nice energy to the set, right? It goes, okay, here's my idea and here's a plan B, and open to suggestions sometimes, which is great because otherwise it's uncomfortable when things
Yeah.
aren't working and someone's very, gung-ho and their vision, but you have to pivot, but they don't want to pivot, and you go, I don't want to be on this set. So thank
Mhm.
you for not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that is so important. I mean, in an industry where, I mean, with anything creative, everyone has their biases, right? And of course, a lot of people or some people may want to just stick to their guns, but I think the more open you are, especially in this sort of space, the more you have to learn, right? And the more that you can take those things and bring it
Mhm.
elsewhere, not just in the industry itself, but to other aspects of your life, whether it be outside a set or a production. So, and it's always fun. I mean, Zeke and I will sometimes stick to our guns, and then we'll be like, okay, I see what you're saying. So like there is that sort of in the back of our head, but we only do that with each other. Like we'll never do it like if there's like a third party involved, and we'll be like, yeah, okay, and then we're a bit more, I guess, civil about it. I guess externally.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Wait, do you know what each other is thinking? Are you that close? Are you guys sharing something right now that
uh, what are you thinking of, Zeke? It's just,
uh, no, I can't. No, we're not that in sync, but I feel like on set, and this might be because Twayne and I have worked with each other or worked together for so long that we sort of have this rapport. We have this sort of system when we're working together.
yeah,
We almost like Twayne will say something and I immediately know what he's talking about. So I think having that kind of dynamic, not just with one person, but with like with your team on set is pretty important to just have that rapport where you're kind of all on the same page or have like a similar mindset, but just enough that you're like, okay, no, like this might be a better idea or this, you know, yeah.
yeah. I
for
I
sure?
also think like a lot of that, especially with with us and with the teams that we work with, a lot of people really value the pre-production side of things. We're often getting together before production just to talk about everything. I know some people like to run and gun, or just have a general idea of where things are going for a production or a shoot. But Zeke and I often will plan things pretty down to every little detail for the most part, and I think that also allows us to pivot and sort of be open to different things that might sort of arise on that day. So, and we enjoy that process as well. So,
For sure. I mean, having a plan, but then also improving on the day
yeah,
because things never go according to plan.
Ex-
So yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
the
Yeah, I just got to go
adaptability.
with the flow. Yeah.
So wait, how do people hire you? How do people know about you? Like, how do I get your name out there? Because I loved working with you too. I mean, that's part of why I'm like, guys, meet these people. They're fascinating and they're so professional, but also really fun. Do they just message? Don't like? Do they message you on
They
Instagram? Is it going to be that kind of? Hey, I saw you on. Like, hey, you guys look fun. Oh, that's no, that's
yeah.
weird. Don't answer that one. But okay.
I don't know. It's how would you say people hire us? Is it usually like it's like friends of friends, and then someone has a project that they want us to be on because they liked our work on this thing, or thought of us? Yeah, I don't know, Zeke. How would you say?
Yeah, I feel like it's very much word of mouth. So a lot of the times, like the projects that Twin and I have worked on, a lot of it is, we'll have friends that are doing something. So we'll be like, hey, like we're putting together a team or something like that. So a lot of it is either through word of mouth or like friends are doing stuff and like it's like a friend of a friend who's like recommending and this kind of thing. Twin and I both have like pretty strenuous day jobs, so we like a lot of times we're like, okay, we can fit this project in, or it's something that we both feel very passionate about. So then we'll go for it. Um, but yeah, I feel like it's very much like things come and we're like, okay, like that's cool. We can definitely try and do something with that. So yeah.
Have you ever said no to a project?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So you've reached that phase. You know what I mean? You reach that level in your
Yeah.
career where you go, before, when you're starting out, kind of like, yeah, I'll do everything. And then you go,
Mhm.
I don't want to do everything anymore. I don't want to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me what. That's fair. I was just curious.
No,
Where were you at?
yeah. Yeah, well, I think it boils down to like what's worth your time, and ultimately, you kind of have to consider if things are worth your time, or if you know people that can benefit from doing that project as well, right? Because it might not be a project for you, but it might be for a project for someone who's just getting started, or someone who does have the time and availability to take on that project. So I'm very much on the notion that I'm not a gatekeeper for things. Like, I'm not the kind of person that's like, I need all the projects, I need all the jobs. There's a lot of work to go around with everybody, and we also know, like, Twayne and I know a lot of people that are very talented as well. So if I know for myself, at least, like, if I can't take on a project, I'll be like, well, I know someone who can, and it very much kind of works out that way.
I love that you have a network of people that you would just send other people. I think that's so beautiful. You kind of just, yeah, someone just starting out or something along those lines. You're looking out for your fellow artists there. It's so, you guys are the best.
Yeah, I think, you know what, when I think, at least I'm speaking sort of for myself, when I was up and coming, or sort of getting my feet in the, on the ground with the space, I started off as a photographer. I was not into video until maybe 4 or 5 years into shooting. And I had, I guess, a mentor just kind of like bring me along onto commercial shoots and stuff like that. And I was like, he doesn't have to do that. I was just so grateful for it, right? Like, and I would travel. Like, they were in Hamilton, they were all over Ontario, and I'm like, I'm going because he's making the time to think of me, and I know I'm going to learn something valuable. It's going to be worth my time, and so I think of that and how grateful I was for that, and like, of course, I'm going to pay that back somehow, some way. If I can't do a job, of course, there's always people that are asking me about things, and whether it's something specific to the job that I might not be able to do, I could send it their way. So it's always nice, and I think that's part of what I want to do too, is give back in that way, and so that way other artists can grow and figure out what they like to do, right?
Absolutely. And do you think that you found where you want to kind of stay right now? Or are you still kind of, oh, this new area that I just discovered the other day, I might want to pivot again?
Uh, I will say for myself, I have, and I guess I found it throughout the pandemic, like, having a little more time because I'm not commuting. I know that the two things I definitely want to do, cinematography and color grading, the two things I feel like they go hand in hand for the most part. But if I could be too good at those two things and only those two things, I would be happy for the rest of my career. So I guess I could firmly say those are the two things I want to do going forward for sure, at least for myself.
So
So
what is color grading exactly? What is No, but I mean, I understand
yeah,
this is the whole thing. Okay.
this is the thing.
I opened up a box. I want to close it.
You
We don't have enough
Yes,
time.
yes,
Okay.
like,
But I'll give you a. It's so funny, but I'll sort of give you, I guess, the short of it. But I mean, if you think about, when we were kids, we went to the movie theaters and we saw projection film, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
What, right?
A movie
Um,
theater?
yeah. What? Those are. I don't remember the last
I
movie
would
I saw.
sit in a place with other people?
Right.
Yeah.
Before the pandemic. So yeah, if you think about that, so if you think about like the capture to display sort of pipeline, right? You shoot something, then you go edit it, and then back in the day, you'd have to what you do print the film. So you print it on a print stock, and that print film in those sort of canisters would get distributed to theaters all over the world, and that's what you'd see. So it's basically that sort of translated into the digital side. You have these sensors that capture all this data and light and your scene. And then how do we get that from the sensor to the display? And there's a whole ton of math involved. And I love that kind of stuff. It's very sciencey, and I'm very sort of in deep into that sort of stuff. So that's sort of the color science part of it, at least from a sort of signal processing and sort of I guess you could say, mathematical point of view. But then there's the creative side, and you can't really detach the two. It's sort of the math governs the creative, really, and sort of allows you to make those decisions. They really go hand in hand. So the creative side of it is sort of creating certain looks. Like, if you look at Stranger Things, it does have a very 80s vibe. Or you look at period pieces like, Downton Abbey, or you look at something a little bit, I guess, more futuristic, like Blade Runner, right? They all have these color palettes and tones, and that sort of process is really cool. And so all these projects are shot with pretty much the same camera. Like, the Alexa dominates the market in terms of camera. So likely Alexas or Reds, and everyone's using, if you're using the same camera, what's different? Lighting, production design, all that sort of stuff. And then it also comes down to how you treat that footage and what you do with it. So the color process is in that sort of vein, and the decisions made about color is also informed by the lighting, by the production design, and all that sort of stuff. So it's the final process at the end of the chain, in a way, before you see what you see on TV. And I think it's so fascinating that you can have that sort of granular control about how you convey what a scene looks like to deliver certain emotions about the story and things like that. So you can tell a story through color, which I think is fantastic.
There really is such a neuroscience component to it. That's so, because that's your background, right?
Yeah, I'm a neuroscientist.
I never, until you started describing it, I didn't. I'm like, of course, fascinating.
Yeah, I very much love the science of filmmaking. Like, I didn't realize, I was like, what drew me to filmmaking? Like, yeah, the cool tech, sure, but I realized that there are so many different ways to tell a story and get emotion out of your audience, from sort of a cognitive perspective. And I think that's so fascinating. And I'm still learning so much about how that works and that kind of stuff. So it's fun.
It's a lot of science. It's a lot of stuff going on. It's,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm just gonna I like being in front of the scenes and like letting everyone else do the hard work. I'm not discounting actors, but I think it was part of, after watching you guys work, and I go, oh my God, there's so much going on behind the scenes. Actors, we need to just calm down and just show up and do our work, because there is so much happening behind the scenes. I'm tired. I don't want to get in the way of this process. There is so much. I learned Glimmer 3. That was a thing. That was a cool word.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite filter. I'll be honest. I love Glimmer 3 on a digital sensor. Put it on a film sensor or on film, like, completely different effect. So, but for digital sensors, it's nice.
Yeah, don't go with Glimmer 1 or 2. That's a rookie mistake right there.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Zeik, I don't want you to feel excluded. This is the problem with the two people. I want to backtrack. I'm curious in terms of, like, are you where you're at, or like, is there other avenues in which you want to explore in the industry, or other than being a chef, obviously, like a chef, we know it.
You want to be
we just
craft services?
Yeah, I honestly, it kind of ebbs and flows. Like, for me, I'll get to a point where I'm like, okay, I really want to focus in on, photography for a while. And then eventually something will come by where, there's a little bit more video. And so I get distracted really easy, but I also get obsessed with, like, a particular avenue, like, hardcore. Like, I'll go to town, and then all of a sudden, like, I'll flip and all of a sudden change directions. So I don't know. I'm not quite sure exactly where I'll end up in, like, 5 years. Who knows? Maybe I'll direct a film about cooking, and the guy, I don't know, something like that. But yeah.
If only there was someone to help with the color. I don't know. Okay.
I know. I'm thinking black and white for that one. Yeah.
Friendship over after that. Excuse.
I mean, Fincher did Mank really well, so there's something there. We can do it.
There probably is something there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess for now, like, I'm really kind of exploring. I did enjoy being on set. I know for the project for movie night that all three of us were on, I was on as gaffer, and I really, really enjoyed, just being in control of the lighting and trying to make sure that, things looked right and looked the way that, Alex and Twayne had envisioned. And I love just having that one aspect. They were like, here, you know, take over the lighting. And I'm like, sweet, okay, cool. Like I ran with it to the point where Twayne and I got in like a 3-hour argument about like a specific thing. And I was like, no, this is gonna work. But yeah, the thing with me is I tend to get obsessed with one thing for a period of time, and then something else will challenge me or will become interesting, and then I'll try to see what's new with there. And then sometimes I'll take stuff from that particular avenue and bring it over to my previous one and try to see
Right.
where things mix up that way or integrate. So yeah.
I just find it fascinating though, the amount of knowledge between the two of you, that you go on set and you know so much about so many different things. I just wanted to, like, I kept asking questions. It's like, okay, Robyn, let's just calm down. But I just needed to pick your brains. I needed to understand what was going on because,
Ask away.
oh no, I mean, like, I think at the time, now I'm kind of like still going, I'm okay in front of the scenes, behind the scene. Okay, guys, you saw me trying to use the slate, or that was so hard.
Yes.
There was a lot of swear words. I was not happy with the words coming out of my mouth. I didn't know that was a hard thing to do. And then I learned it was, so.
It
You did
is
good,
hard.
though.
It's I still mess up the slate, honestly. Whenever I have to do it, I was like, how do they clap it so loud? Like, you just slam it.
I really think that should be a course too. I'm coming up with ideas for you guys, right? Like teach how to slam the slate or slam shut. It'll be called slam shut. It's done. Okay.
Love it.
Nice. I like that. Yeah.
We'll get the good lighting. We'll engineer something cool, and Zeke will provide the craft. So thank you. Okay.
Craft.
There we go.
Yeah.
Is there a dream project the two of you have? Like, oh, you're working towards, we have to do this. Putting something out there in the ether. I asked the hard questions, right?
I have an idea at the moment, and I have told it to Twayne. So,
Okay.
yeah.
You don't have to share. It's okay.
Yeah,
I was just curious.
We're in the process of kind of now just starting to go back and forth and try to start getting going, I guess. But yeah, I always love like working on projects collaboratively, and like Twayne and I will also keep like people in mind that we've worked with in the past. So if there's a particular project that calls for something, we're like, oh, like, this person would be really cool for this. We can try to like bring out a little bit more of that. So yeah, I'm very excited to work on it. I think anyone really is always excited for the next project. So yeah.
It is, right? As you're finishing up that project, you go, okay, what's the next one?
Yeah, it's honestly, it's like, man, I don't know, it's endorphins, like, the human body's natural high. And the rush that you get from, like, even after you've done a film or worked on a set, it's like, yeah, it's a hard day's work, but I don't know, I feel great, especially if you've got a great team and you vibed with everybody and you're like, I want to do this again and I want to keep making more cool stuff. But yeah, I don't know, for me, I want to shoot stuff, honestly. Like, if you came to me, it's like, here's a commercial, make it look this way, and these are the problems that you have to solve, I'd be down for that. Like, I like that part of the industry, is the problem solving aspect, at least of cinematography and that side of things. Is like, we always have to solve problems. I mean, I guess everyone on set has to solve their own problems, but in terms of how do we convey a message or tell the story with the tools that we have. So anything that challenges me to solve problems is probably going to be a dream for me. So.
Well, so now I have to figure out, what if my project was perfect, but now I have to create problems just to get you to solve them, right? I have no problem, but let's just figure some out to keep Twayne interested. Okay.
Well, I mean, you got location. What time of day are we shooting at? That's a problem. We're going to solve it, What camera, what lenses, do we have budget?
Yeah. I mean,
is that the biggest problem, the budget? What do you find is the biggest problem?
You want to say it?
But I think budget plays a role for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, this is something that I've learned, is that if everybody is working collaboratively, and again, I know saying that, let's do a collab together has negative connotations now because it just means you're not going to get paid. But a lot of the times when you find people that are like-minded and, you give them an idea, sometimes people will get like really excited about it as well. And so a lot of the times, and I'm a firm believer in doing creatives because you won't always get like paid projects all the time. But in between those paid projects or those, bigger ones, you can do smaller ones to kind of experiment a little bit. And for me at least, when I try to do those collaborative projects, I give those particular team members free rein on whatever it is they have to do, because then they're able to actually do things the way they want to and experiment for themselves. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from any of those projects is you're able to experiment, mess around, you can fuck up, no one's gonna like yell at you. Someone might, but like, there's less risk, and it's really just a space for everyone to create. And so I think a lot of people think budget is the biggest thing. But for me personally, I think it's just having people that are cohesive and people that kind of mesh well together, have a good energy, more of like a can-do energy versus like, like that diva thing that you were talking about. If people are all divas on set, then nothing's going to get done. Everyone's going to have their ego in the way. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just having that pure creative energy.
Yeah. I mean, I will say sometimes though, budget does play a small role.
It does. It does.
Well,
when you say like
what's the amount you would say, like when you say low budget? Can we talk money? Is that allowed? It is. It's my podcast. We can talk money.
I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so I think the way that most people would approach it, it's like what's being asked, right? Like if someone comes to us with a project and they're like, we need to do X, Y, and Z, and here are references, because people, clients usually give us references. And if you want it to look like a Kendrick Lamar music video with that sort of vibe and aesthetic and these kind of camera moves, or, this type of angle, we can solve those problems and I can map them out for you, but this is what it's going to cost. And so they're like, well, we can't do that. Okay. Then you ask them, okay, where can we sort of meet halfway? What can we take away that still maintains the vision of your project, but that's not going to break the bank? So like, numbers aside, it's more so trying to just figure out, the tools that are required and the people and the personnel and the planning and the care and the thought and all that sort of stuff that's required is usually where you kind of determine sort of a number from that, right? And some people genuinely don't know what it costs, and that you can't really fault them for that, so you work with that, and hopefully they're open and they communicate their thoughts and their wants, their needs, and that kind of stuff, and you kind of offer them solutions that they say, okay, I like that alternative. It's not exactly what we wanted, but it's the same world, and we can do it for, a grand less than what we initially thought that this would cost us. So it's conversations that I think are really important, and I enjoy having, because that way, you both learn a bit about what the project is truly like intended to be, and you can kind of help shape that with, the resources that the client has.
Right. That was such a good answer. Ooh.
Yeah.
All the answers have been great, but you know what I mean? But it's true though, right? Because I think when anyone's pitching a project, and, I think budget is such a huge, on people's minds a lot. And then it's to think of what is your vision and how can I help you get there within your constraint. I think it's just a really an important conversation to have, because otherwise, if you're not on the same level for expectations, and this person's expecting, I don't know, a Drake music video, and you give like a little kid show, it's a weird comparison, but I've decided it makes sense. But it's just, it's confusing. It's also a completely different cast. But I just think it's not an uncomfortable conversation, but it's just trying to make sure that everyone's on the same page. And I think when you get that clarity, you can really create something really special.
Absolutely.
Oh, I didn't forget, Twayne, you're doing cool stuff. Zeik, you are too, yes. But we didn't talk about Twayne's, because I was listening to the podcast thing. I'm like, am I going to promote a podcast on my podcast? What is this? I love it. Okay. Oh, it was so
Yeah.
Because is this like just part of your neuroscience thing and you go, I'm going to do more neuroscience stuff or? Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I work in communications 9 to 5, but in science and healthcare. And part of what I do is I get to interact with some really cool people at work who are trying to find cures for arthritis, vision, and brain-related diseases. So it's really cool. The challenging part in that is that they're scientists. They're not public speakers first necessarily. So to get what we need out of them, you do need a little bit of coaching and a little bit of sort of, I guess, media training in a way so they can stay away from all that science jargon, present what's really important and what does matter. Of course, you don't sort of, belittle that kind of stuff, but the public's not going to understand a lot of that jargon.
For sure.
So
just make it more accessible, right?
Exactly. That's it. Exactly. Accessibility is key. And so at work, we have a podcast. It's called Your Complex Brain, because brain-related diseases is one portfolio that sort of I cover at work, and it's hosted by my colleague actually, but I also produce the podcast, and it talks about brain-related diseases. So you're looking at Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, brain cancers, movement disorders, things like that. And it's really interesting because these scientists do such great work and they're able to explain these diseases, and you hear from patients and how, the hospital has really helped them through their journey with their difficulties and disease. And it just showcases, that if people with those diseases do feel alone, that there are resources out there, and there are resources in the city and doctors that are willing to help and things like that. But the main goal of it is really to make the research accessible, which I think the podcast does a great job of it. And our last episode actually launches on Tuesday for our first season, at least. And it's about COVID in the brain, which is really interesting. So there are, some people may experience long-term effects of COVID, and it can lead to, I want to say, like concussion-like symptoms with brain fog, concentration issues, and things like that. So it can be a bit disconcerting, and you're like, what's going on? Like, I thought this was just a respiratory disease, but of course, the research that's going on is trying to figure out where the link is between COVID and the brain. So it's kind of interesting, and I love producing it. So it's sort of been my pride and joy this year, calendar year at work. I also produce another podcast too, but that's more so it's more generic. There's no patient stories. It's more so about the researcher themselves. And that one's called Behind the Breakthrough. And this is part of UHN, which is University Health Network in downtown Toronto. And so that one tackles more so the researcher's story, why they research what they research. And it covers, I guess, various disciplines, not only neurosciences, but also cardiology and rehabilitation and things like that. So that's kind of fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah. Finding out why people do what they do is so fascinating to me. That's why do you guys do what you do? I love knowing this.
Yeah.
Because, especially when you see someone that's kind of excelling in their field and you go, how did you get here? And then you hear their journey. Sometimes you go, that wasn't expecting that answer. I love when it's a little surprise. Yeah. Wait, didn't you two have a podcast too? What happened with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've
Are we going to restart it after this and be like, I enjoyed talking to Robyn, let's get rid of her? Okay.
I've told Zeik, like, we send each other notes, like, we need a podcast on this, because we'll send voice notes to each other on IG messages. Yeah. And I was like, dude, this should just be a podcast. Like, what are you doing? Just like, come over, let's record it. So, but
I guess we've gotten busy. Our last episode was what, March?
So yeah, March maybe.
March or April. So I think since then we've both sort of been thrown into projects here and there, like both together and separately. But a lot of people have been like, what's happened to that podcast? And I'll tell Twayne, I'm like, dude, people listen to our podcast and are like waiting to hear what's next. So we should probably get on that. Yeah. But yeah, it's I guess we'll record an episode soon, hopefully.
Soon, yeah.
Well, what are you hoping to discuss on it? Like, what are you just kind of having conversations and see what comes up? It's such a window chats vibe. I love it.
Okay. Kind of. Usually I guess we kind of have an idea, right? See, like.
Yeah. What's funny is that sometimes, and I don't have it with me right now, but like sometimes we'll send each other voice notes, or we'll get like ramped up about something, and we're like, this is an interesting topic because this is something that a lot of people will probably experience or have experienced, in the creative industry. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know the topics off the top of my head right now, but a lot of it is just sort of like things that we feel, people are going to experience, or things that, we wish we were told, when we were starting off. It's less technical, like there are some really technical episodes, but it's more so kind of like that creative process and that creative journey. So, yeah.
Right. But I feel as if I learned so much from hearing other people's experiences too, right? So I know if I could help prevent someone from doing the things that I was learning, let's speed you along the process, because here's what you don't want to do. So the fact that you guys are creating stuff like that and putting it out there, I think it's so valuable. And you're just giving your time and your advice. I appreciate that. That's why, we're doing this. Guys, get on it already. Come on. It's been
Yeah.
Yeah, it has been a while.
Stop being
We
busy,
definitely.
okay?
Yes.
We get it. You're good at what you do, but make time for freebies. Okay.
Well, the thing is that again, Twayne is very much a cinematographer. I'd be happy if it was like recorded on audio, but Twayne's got to have the setup, and he's got to have the camera, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm a potato. I can't do this. So it's no, that aside though, like it's a lot for us to kind of be in the same place together and just have the time. Sometimes we'll meet up and we're like I'll say this specifically to Twayne. I'll say, no shop talk whatsoever, because we talk a lot about video, photo, graphic design, all the stuff that sometimes we just want to hang out, chill, and like not talk about anything. So I feel like that sort of played a part of it. Is Twayne will be like, "You want to come over a podcast?" I'm like, "Do you want to just grab beers?" And it'll just be like, "Yeah, okay, cool. Like we gotta hang out and just chill." But I think that's one thing that's super important as well, and I think that's something that we both picked up on this year, is just having that boundary. Yes, it's great to be creating all the time, but you also need to relax a little bit and actually enjoy either what you've created or what other people have created. So, yeah.
Finding the balance is key, which is so hard to do, especially when you can create all the time. Everyone has a phone now. I got to keep creating. How do I stop?
Mm-hmm.
Do you find it hard to find a balance, Twayne, or?
Yeah, I would say so. Some days some weeks maybe. It gets a bit challenging, and sometimes I think it's not more so myself. It's more so like trying to balance like certain jobs. Like sometimes I'll have a deadline that's in like 2 or 3 days, and like I'll get the footage. I'll get the footage like I said, it's due in 2 days, and they're like, okay, did I did I make the smartest decision here by saying yes to this? I know I want to do this, but do I have the resources and mental capacity and time to do it? And I guess this past weekend was a prime example of that, because my fiance's bridal shower was this weekend. Her parents were in town. We had to do wedding stuff, and I said yes to a job because I really wanted to do it. And of course, it came to the end of it, and I was like, I honestly, I didn't feel great. Like I was just like, oh, I'm just too burnt out. Like I'm exhausted. And then, you kind of, putter away during the week, and then you get taxed, and then you kind of get a little down on yourself. Like, why am I not creating? And, then you forget that you got to give yourself a break every now and then and let your mind reset, and, watch a terrible reality TV show or something, and, clear your head. I think that's important, because when you're constantly thinking about content, like that in of itself is so stressful, I think. Or thinking about
What do you mean?
sure,
It's the
yeah,
best. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah, it can be challenging. I'll say that. And then I think trying to avoid burnout is also a big challenge as well, because it does happen. And I thought when I first started, oh, I'm never gonna get burnt out. I'm gonna love doing this for as long as I can remember. And then you get your first wave of burnout. And, as Zeke would say, you're just a potato, and you're like, what? So yeah, it happens. But I mean, you find your way out of it somehow, I think. And if you can, with, the right people, and taking some time away to let your mind sort of reset is always helpful.
Mm-hmm. And this is from someone in neuroscience, so there you go. Reset the.
Yeah.
There you go.
I want you guys. I want like the engineer stamp of approval and just like neuroscience agrees. Something.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Build me a set, Zeke.
Oh my God, I wish. That's a project that would be really cool, is if I got to build or design a set and design the lighting and everything. That would be really cool. Anyways, yeah.
No, that is cool. Where would it, like a TV, film, theater?
I don't know. So when I was a kid, like a lot of kids in Canada and around the world, I went to church, and we would do Christmas
No, see,
musicals.
I'm Jewish, so I can't relate, but I will listen. Okay.
Oh, that's why I said a lot. Not everyone, but no. When I was a kid, around Christmas time, they would do these musicals, and at my church in particular, they would go crazy. Like they would build sets, and I remember like volunteering because it was fun. Like Sunday afternoons, there's nothing else to do, so I'd be at my church, and we'd like help build this set together. And there was this one time that for the production that they put up, they decided to build a set that was revolving. So it's like a 3-in-1, and like there was a scene where a mob of people are like marching through the town. So as they're marching, the set was revolving, and like me as a kid, I was like, this is brilliant, like this is so cool. So yeah, I've always wanted to like get onto something. I mean, I know that's more so on like the theater musical kind of side of things. But designing a set would be pretty interesting, because then you're able to control like the way that the viewer has perceives the space, I guess, and you don't have to cheat as much, and you don't have to, like, everything is a little bit more like available to you.
Well, they do that on movies too, Zeke. Like Dune, like they built massive
Yeah.
sets for Dune, and like the actors thought they were on a whole other planet, but they were in a backlot somewhere in California, right? Like
Hmm.
it's a thing in the movie industry too. So maybe there's an opportunity for you to go lend your skills there.
Maybe.
Are you
Maybe.
trying to get rid of him? What's going
No,
on?
I'm not. I'm not. I need you for lighting, please.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that stems from like when I was a kid, watching Star Wars, everything was practical, it was all practical effects. And I just absolutely loved the fact that everything was very real. They actually went to some swamp somewhere, and they built an X-wing, and they did all this stuff. It wasn't just all CGI. So part of me, I guess that would be a really cool thing, would be to be on something like that, to build a set, build a whole world, and have people like bring people into it, kind of deal.
And then next thing you know, it's in a, amusement park and people are immersed all the time in it. And it's like the next Harry Potter.
Yeah,
You're cool. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, if
Yeah. Just
Lucasfilm
use,
is watching this,
yeah, there you go.
hit me
I have
up.
a weird following, so you never know. Okay.
There you go.
Just like a
There's your
set with a lot of
opportunity.
triangles that revolves. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
I love that. I don't know. I feel like if you put it out there, you never know, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Things happen. We'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. But is there, okay, I don't want to keep you guys for long, even though I can keep talking to you because it's a problem I have. But no, but admitting it is the first step. Is there any kind of advice you want to leave any people watching with, like, or is this just watch your podcast and when they come back on?
Advice. Advice. All right, Twayne, you want to take a stab at it first?
um, I mean, I guess advice as a whole, just be open to learning. I think at least from our perspective and the roles that we're in, mostly being behind the camera on the production side of things, just be open to learning. There's going to be a million and one ways to do something, to light a set, to place a camera, to build a camera rig, for all that kind of stuff. And I think if you go in anywhere with an open mind, you're going to gain so much. And I think that's really the biggest sort of asset that you can have, I would say.
Hmm. Yeah, for me, I guess a piece of advice would be don't don't hesitate to experiment. Like just go and create and don't be afraid to fuck up, because sometimes that's where you really learn. Like people, I feel like a lot of people nowadays are very hard on themselves because everyone's creating all the time, everyone's putting out amazing work, and so there's that pressure to always be on top of your game, to always be producing the best stuff. And I feel like you lose that sense of exploration with that attitude. And in doing so, that's, it'll lead to burnout. It'll lead to you being stuck in a rut. So I guess my biggest piece of advice would be just sometimes if you have time, like even if it's like a week, put something together, try something. If it messes up, then at least you know not to do it on an actual set. But if it works out, then that's something that you can keep in your toolbox or keep in your back pocket for the next time. So that when someone tells you that a lighting setup won't work, you can tell them, no, this will actually indeed work.
Oh, I'll admit it, I'm wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No,
oh, admitting it.
But yeah, I would say definitely don't be afraid to experiment and to mess up.
I love that. Both of you guys, thank you like so much for sharing some of your story and for just being awesome. I enjoyed this. I would keep talking, but we all have lives and you guys have way too many projects. Everyone employ these two, even though they're busy. I'm sure there's a wait list. I don't know how it works. Do you have a wait list? How does this work? Okay.
I don't think we have a wait list.
Okay.
No.
We'll make time for projects. I'll say that. If we love them passionately and dearly, we will make time for them. At least
wait, who will respond faster, Twayne or Zeik? Like who's the point person?
I don't know. It depends.
Because you both were very fast. It was the weirdest thing. I'm like, why? It was a completely different mentality than actors. You're kind of like on it, responding to my emails. I didn't know what was happening. It was so confusing.
It's because we get the call sheet from the first AD. That's why we got to be like, yes, we'll be there at 6 a.m. That's why we're like,
yeah.
And then if you don't respond in like an hour, the AD texts you like, "Did you get my email?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay. I'm in the walkthrough. What do you want me to do?"
I would say contact Twayne, because I tend to run on Zeik time. Twayne has aptly named it Zeik time.
Because he runs late.
If you tell me 6:30, I will get there for 7. Unless it's an actual film set, I try to be on time for like actual projects. But yeah, no, I
Okay.
Some days it's worse than others. Other days it's like he's 10 minutes late, and other days you're like, yeah, I haven't left my house yet. I'm like, bruh.
It's a creative process, he's still creating, just not in the location he needs to be, and that's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Okay, so contact Twayne, and
I
you
guess
can work with these amazing individuals. I mean, if it works out, right? You have to have a conversation.
We like to bring a vision to life if that's your need. So
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for doing this. This was fun. And
thank you so much.
See you on another set.
Thanks for having us.
For sure. Thank you for having us, Robyn. It was a pleasure.
Thanks so much. And thank you all for watching, and thank you to future watchers and listeners. Okay. Bye.
Take care. Bye.